Assalamu alaikum students. Today is our first online class and we will pick off exactly where we left off in our class. I know that a lot of you guys are skeptical about these online classes, but don't worry, they will be slow paced, and while most of the lecture will be in English, I will tell you a little bit or explain the concept a little bit in Urdu so that you can at least get the gist of it. And if you're wondering why my voice is so hoarse, it's because of you guys. It's from telling you guys to be quiet all day. Now let's start our lecture. Today you will learn about pronouns and its types. A pronoun is a word that can be used in place of a noun. It means that pronouns replace or substitute nouns. इसका मतलब ये है कि pronouns noun को replace करते हैं sentence में. Let's take a look at this example. Aisha is eating an apple. Aisha is a proper noun. And if we replace it with a pronoun that is she, it becomes she is eating an apple. Now, you might wonder, why do we need pronouns when we already have nouns? Well, it's because pronouns help us prevent repetition, and they also make sentences shorter and concise. Now, let's take a look at this example. My sister's name is Aisha. Aisha is 10 years old. Aisha loves to play with dolls. Aisha's favorite color is orange. As you can see or hear, that this noun Aisha is being repeated again and again in each of the sentences, and it sounds and looks very odd. But what if we replace this noun with proper noun? Now look at it. It looks so much better. My sister's name is Aisha. So in the first line we established that her name is Aisha. But after that, we are changing her name with a pronoun. She is 10 years old. She loves to play with dolls. Her favorite color is orange. So we not only avoided repetition, but we also replaced a 6-letter noun with a 3-letter pronoun, making the sentence shorter and concise. Take a look at the bottom. So we replaced proper noun Aisha with pronouns she and her. I'll give you another example. Remember the first day of our class? I had you guys write introductions and all of you introduced yourselves in the first sentence. You used your full name. But after that, you replaced your name, proper noun, with the pronoun I. Now imagine how odd it would have seemed if you had mentioned your name in each of the sentences. So pronouns are important. If you're wondering why we left the name Aisha in the first sentence, well, I'll answer it right now. Well, there's something called antecedent, a noun that is replaced by a pronoun. So Aisha is antecedent of the pronouns she and her. It basically tells us who or what the pronoun is referring to. If we don't give the antecedent, it would be impossible to tell who you're talking about, right? So if I had not mentioned the name Aisha, you wouldn't have known who I'm talking about, right? So you have to mention the name once. You have to mention antecedent once. But of course, there are times when either the antecedents are not really needed or the pronoun doesn't really have antecedent. For example, someone stole my money. Now, the identity of that someone is unknown. Even I don't know who stole that money. So, how can I tell you? So, this pronoun, someone, does not have antecedent. Now that you know what a pronoun is, let's move on to its types. The first one is subject pronoun. It is also called subjective pronoun or personal pronoun. Subject nouns are used to substitute proper and common nouns. So basically, they replace the subject in a sentence. The words I, you, he, she, it, we, they are all subject pronouns. Let's take a look at this example. Ali is a doctor. Ali is the subject in the sentence. Ali is a proper noun, and we're going to replace that noun with the pronoun he. It becomes he is a doctor. The second type is object pronouns. They are also called objective pronouns. It is a pronoun which works as the object of the sentence. Now, what does it mean? Object is the thing on which the action is being performed. So it means that these pronouns receive the action in the sentence. The words me, you, him, her, it, us, them are all object pronouns. Now let's take a look at this example. I'll give you a present. Now I is the subject in this sentence. Why? Because it is performing the action. Give is the verb is the action, and you is the object, the thing or a person on whom the action is being performed. I know it might be confusing, so let me explain it in Urdu. अब इस सेंटेंस को अगर उर्दू में ट्रांसलेट किया जाए तो ये बनता है कि मैं आपको एक तोहफा दूंगी. तो मैं, ठीक है, मैं सब्जेक्ट हूँ, ठीक है, दूंगी, मैं एक्शन परफॉर्म कर रही हूँ देने का, ठीक है, तो मैं सब्जेक्ट हूँ, ठीक है, देना वर्ब है, एक्शन है. और ये एक्शन किस पे परफॉर्म हो रहा है? आप पे. मैं किसको दे रही हूँ? आपको. तो आप हैं ऑब्जेक्ट, यू ऑब्जेक्ट है. तो इसको सिंपल ये याद रखें, ऑब्जेक्ट प्रोनाउन वो प्रोनाउन होते हैं जो कि सेंटेंस में ऑब्जेक्ट हों. It may seem confusing, but do watch this part a couple of times to grasp this concept. It's not that difficult. Third one is possessive pronouns. Possessive pronouns indicate ownership or possession. They tell us who the thing being referred to belongs to or is associated with. इसका मतलब ये है कि possessive pronouns हमें बताते हैं कि एक चीज़ किसकी है या एक पर्सन का दूसरे पर्सन या चीज़ से क्या रिलेशन है. The words mine, yours, his, hers, its, ours, and theirs are all possessive pronouns. These classes are mine and not yours. Now, next step is reflexive pronouns. Reflexive pronouns refer back to the subject in the sentence. We've already established that subject in a sentence is the thing or person who's performing the action. They are used when the subject is performing its action upon itself, which means that the subject and the object are the same. इसका मतलब ये है कि सब्जेक्ट और ऑब्जेक्ट सेम पर्सन या थिंग है, क्योंकि सब्जेक्ट अपने आप पे ही कोई एक्शन परफॉर्म कर रहा है. The words myself, yourself, herself, himself, oneself, itself, ourselves, themselves, and yourselves are all reflexive pronouns. Now let's take a look at this example. He hurt himself. He is the subject because he is performing an action. Hurt is the action, it's the verb. Himself is the object because he is performing an action on himself because he hurt himself. So he is the object and the subject. It means that both the subject and the object are the same. Now let me explain that in Urdu. अब इसका मतलब क्या है? उसने अपने आप को चोट पहुंचाई, उसने खुद को चोट पहुंचाई, यानी उसने अपने आप पे ही एक एक्शन परफॉर्म किया, तो वो सब्जेक्ट भी बन गया और ऑब्जेक्ट भी बन गया. In this way, himself, that is the object of this sentence, becomes reflexive pronoun. Let's see more examples. Don't blame yourself. We encourage ourselves. In both of the sentences, the object and the subject are same. We encouraged ourselves. we are performing an action of encouraging ourselves, right? So, again, that makes the subject and the object same. Next are intensive pronouns. Intensive pronouns are used to emphasize another noun or pronoun. The words myself, yourself, herself, himself, oneself, itself, ourselves, themselves, and yourselves are intensive pronouns. You may or may not have noticed that intensive pronouns are the same as reflexive pronouns that we discussed before this type. While the words may be same, they are quite different from each other in the way that they act in a sentence. So, intensive pronouns do not act as objects in the sentence. For example, I spoke to the president himself. Now, the word himself is used for emphasis. It does not refer to a subject. It does not act as an object. See, in this way, it is different from reflexive pronoun. Intensive pronouns are simply used to place emphasis on something, so they are not really necessary for this sentence. Um, they don't really give us any new information. Their presence or absence does not have any effect on the sentence, its meaning, or our understanding of it. So, if we remove this pronoun from the sentence and make it I spoke to the president, it doesn't really affect the sentence or its meaning. We can still understand it. I'll repeat everything in Urdu now for your convenience. So, इंटेंसिव प्रोनाउंस वो प्रोनाउन होते हैं जिन्हें सिर्फ एक एम्फसिस के लिए यूज़ किया जाए, वो हमें कोई इम्पॉर्टेंट इन्फॉर्मेशन नहीं देते, तो उनका सेंटेंस में होना ना होना मायने नहीं रखता। आप फिर भी सेंटेंस समझ सकेंगे अगर उसे रिमूव किया जाए, वो कोई मीनिंग ऐड नहीं करता सेंटेंस में। लेट्स सी अनदर एग्जाम्पल, शी herself paid for the car. Again, herself is used here for emphasis. It is not giving us any information. So even if we remove it, it doesn't really change the sentence or its meaning. She paid for the car. We still understand that she paid for car. Even if the herself is removed, it was simply there for emphasis. Let's take a look at them side by side so that you are able to understand the difference between both. Reflexive pronouns refer back to the subject, whereas intensive pronouns are simply used for emphasis. Since the subject performs an action upon itself, the subject becomes the object, right? So reflexive pronoun acts as an object, whereas intensive pronoun does not act as an object. Reflexive pronouns are very important to the sentence, whereas intensive pronouns are not important to the sentence. For example, he hurt himself. Himself is a reflexive pronoun. It is very important to the sentence because it helps create the meaning, it adds information. Without it, if we write he hurt, it's first of all grammatically wrong. Also, you cannot really understand what is being communicated, right? He hurt what, right? So, himself is very important. Without this pronoun, you won't be able to understand the sentence and what is being communicated. Now, on the other hand, if you look at the example of intensive pronoun, I spoke to the president himself. Himself is just there for emphasis, right? It is not acting as an object. Also, when we remove it, it doesn't really change the meaning or the sentence. I spoke to the president. You can again understand without any issue what is being communicated. Now that out of the way, let's move on to the next type, that is demonstrative pronouns. Demonstrative pronouns are the pronouns that point at or identify something or someone. Indicate the number of something, meaning whether something is singular or plural, and the relative distance of the thing that is being referred. यानी इसका मतलब ये है कि पॉइंट आउट करते हैं किसी चीज़ की तरफ, ठीक है, और ये बताते हैं पहली बात कि नंबर क्या है, मतलब चीज़ एक है या ज़्यादा सारी है, और दूसरा आपका उस चीज़ से डिस्टेंस कितना है, ये कि उस चीज़ से आपका फासला ज़्यादा है या थोड़ा है. There are only 4 demonstrative pronouns: this, these, that, and those. You choose it in accordance to the thing that you're referring to, whether it is ne or fa, singular or plural. इसका मतलब ये है कि आप इन चारों में से वर्ड इस बेस पे चूज़ करेंगे कि आपका उस चीज़ से डिस्टेंस कितना है और वो चीज़ एक है या ज़्यादा है. Look at these examples. This is my friend. There is only one friend, so this has been used, and it also shows that the friend is near you. So the word this tells us that there is one friend and he's near you. Now let's see the next example. That is my book. So that is used because there is only one book and that book is far away. So the word that is used. Both of these words, this and that, point at something. In the first example, it points at the friend, and in the second example, it points at the book. We'll take a look at relative pronouns now. Relative pronouns are used to connect clauses or phrases and to introduce relative clauses. Now, clauses are different parts of the sentences, and relative clause is the part that offers you additional information. They basically tell us more about the thing, person, or situation that is being referred to. If it's too complicated for you to retain, just remember that these words are used to relate one part of the sentence to another. Just remember that. A relative pronoun provides additional information about the subject, noun, or pronoun it relates to. Now, I'll repeat everything in Urdu for those of you who couldn't understand. बस आपने ये याद रखना है कि relative pronouns वो words होते हैं जो कि सेंटेंस के एक हिस्से को दूसरे हिस्से के साथ कनेक्ट करते हैं, जोड़ते हैं, रिलेट करते हैं, ठीक है. उसके अलावा ये हमें और इंफॉर्मेशन प्रोवाइड करते हैं सब्जेक्ट के बारे में, ठीक है. Mainly there are 5 relative pronouns: who, whom, whose, which, and that. We can also add the word so and ever in front of these words to make compound relative pronouns as well, which makes whatever, whatsoever, whosoever, whichever, and whoever also relative pronouns. Now let's take a look at its example. We had a chocolate cake, which I love. As you can see, the relative pronoun which has been used to attach one part of the sentence with another part of the sentence, and this part offers additional information. Now, the next example, John, who is 55, has just retired. Who is 55 is a relative clause that offers additional information, and who is the word that has been used to connect this clause with the rest of the sentence. मर्तबा अब इस एग्जाम्पल को उर्दू में भी डिस्कस कर लेते हैं. जॉन हु इज़ 55 हैज़ जस्ट रिटायर्ड. ठीक है, जॉन के बारे में एडिशनल इन्फॉर्मेशन ऑफ़र हो रही है ना कि वो 55 ईयर्स का है, और जो वर्ड हमने यूज़ किया वो है हु का, उस इंफॉर्मेशन को इस सेंटेंस का हिस्सा बनाने के लिए. ठीक है,
बस इस तरीके से याद रखें कि जो रिलेटिव प्रोनाउंस होते हैं वो सेंटेंस के एक हिस्से को दूसरे हिस्से के साथ जोड़ने में हेल्प करते हैं और हमें एडिशनल इन्फॉर्मेशन प्रोवाइड करते हैं, जैसा कि इस एग्जांपल में आप क्लियरली देख सकते हैं। नेक्स्ट आर इंटरोगेटिव प्रोनाउंस। इंटरोगेटिव प्रोनाउंस are used to ask questions. I think this is something that we all know. What are the words that we use to ask questions? What, which, who, whom, and whose. These are all interrogative pronouns. Now let's take a look at a couple of examples. What are you looking at? What is the word that has been used to ask the question? Who told you? Who, again, is the word that has been used to ask a question. Which is your favorite movie? Again, which is interrogative pronoun. एक मरतबा उर्दू में सब रिपीट कर लेते हैं। इंटरोगेटिव प्रोनाउंस वो लफ्ज़ होते हैं जो हमें क्वेश्चंस पूछने में हेल्प करते हैं। जैसे कि व्हाट आर यू लुकिंग एट, तुम क्या देख रहे हो। तो क्या का वर्ड जो है जैसे उर्दू में वो किस क्वेश्चंस पूछने के लिए यूज़ होता है ना। और आखिरी एग्जांपल, तुम्हारी फेवरेट मूवी कौन सी है। तो कौन सी, कौन का वर्ड जो है हम उर्दू में यूज़ करते हैं क्वेश्चन पूछने के लिए, तो यहाँ पे भी यही हिसाब है। Now we'll take a look at indefinite pronouns. They are used to refer non-specific things, people, or places. It means that they do not refer to anything particular. Since they refer to things that are not specific, they usually don't have antecedents. There is a big list of indefinite pronouns. Somebody, anybody, everybody, nobody, somebody, anyone, everyone, no one, something, anything, everything, nothing. And then there are more. Another, each, either, little, much, neither, one, other, both, few, many, other, several, all, any, more, most, none, and some. These are all words that are used as indefinite pronouns. Now let's take a look at these examples. Somebody stole my car. So somebody here is indefinite pronoun because it is not referring to a particular person, right? And it also does not have antecedent because, of course, the person's identity is unknown. Let's see the second one. She came to the party, but no one saw her. No one is indefinite pronoun because we're not really talking about any particular specific person. Basically, indefinite pronouns वो words हैं जो कि हम use करते हैं जब किसी non-specific person, thing की बात हो. Now, on to the last one. Dummy subject pronouns. They are used to fulfill the requirements of a subject in a sentence without adding any additional meaning. इसका मतलब ये है कि वो लफ्ज़ हैं जो कि सब्जेक्ट की बस रिक्वायरमेंट सेंटेंस में पूरी करने के लिए यूज़ किए जाते हैं। ये कोई मीनिंग ऐड नहीं करते, ठीक है। सिर्फ ग्रामेटिकली सेंटेंस को स्ट्रक्चर करने के लिए, सब्जेक्ट की रिक्वायरमेंट पूरी करने के लिए इन्हें यूज़ किया जाता है। These words are it and there. Now let's take a look at some examples. It is raining outside. बाहर बारिश हो रही है. It is only used to fulfill the requirement of a subject. It doesn't add any meaning to the sentence. Same with the other ones. There is plenty of food left. It is very cold outside. With this, our lecture has come to an end, and if you have any questions, any confusion, of course, we will discuss it in the classroom. But please do watch this video. Don't just come without even looking at it. Bye. I'll see you in the classroom.